All right. Vladimir Putin isn't only saying he's ruling out a peace deal with Ukraine. He's getting more troops, calling up another 137,000 of them, presumably headed toward Ukraine. Jack Keane on all of these developments, U.S. four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, what do you make of these latest actions on his part?
Yeah, well, I think the Russians have made another strategic shift. I mean, phase one, they attempted to take the capital city, and obviously they failed in doing that, and Ukrainians succeeded in driving them out. Phase two, they focused on the Donbass region. We have seen since April, their attempt was to take all of it. They've only been able to take the eastern part of it, and their attack has essentially stalled. So I think what's happening here is Mr. Putin recognizes, along with his generals, that they are in a protracted war, that this is not going to go away in a few weeks or a few months, that they have got to be committed for a number of years. And I think that is where they are now, Neil. And the 137,000 is testimony to that. They haven't gone to full mobilization, which would indicate the seriousness of their problems, but they don't want to flag that seriousness to the population at home, and that's why he stayed away from that. But I think what they're thinking in their minds, that now they have to commit to a war of attrition that'll take years and wear down the Ukrainian people. The economy certainly is going to get worse. Certainly the casualties themselves to the civilians with the continuous air and missile attack, and then the casualties to the Ukrainian soldiers and the impacts that's having on the families and the population. They're counting that this will wear down the Ukrainian people. And the other thing that they're counting on is that as they attrit Ukrainian soldiers, and Ukraine doesn't tell us what the casualty figures are, that will also take a toll on Ukraine, because Russians know they can replace their soldiers much more readily than the Ukrainians can. So I think that's where they are. The Ukrainians, however, know full well there is an opportunity in front of them here. You know, we've been talking about the so-called counteroffensive. There seems to be some disagreement strategically inside of Ukraine. The national leaders want to move as soon as possible and be able to show a victory in terms of taking territory back. The military is much more cautious about this because they want to be able to build their forces up. They don't want to go into Kherson City, where this fight will likely take place, and go block by block and building by building. That will produce a lot of casualties. So that's why you see a couple of interesting things happening. They're leveling all the bridges that service that city to impact the supplies. They're bombing and conducting espionage attacks at the deep supply depots that are in Crimea, also to reduce their capability to support it. I do think eventually we will see a counteroffensive take place, but it's likely after the military is able to wear down the defenders and make that offensive operation less casualty producing for them in the long run. So that's kind of where we are and what it looks strategically like on both sides.
You know, General, I'm reminded it wasn't a big or well-covered story, but this diary that was made public by a frustrated Russian soldier who showed his own frustration with a weapon that didn't work and other fellow soldiers' weapons that didn't work, the pathetic case of what they had to take with them down to their uniforms. And he just wanted to get it out there that they're not happy with this mission. A good many of them don't even know what is behind the mission, just that they're frustrated by it. I'm just wondering whether this is something bubbling underneath that Vladimir Putin has to worry about.
Oh, yeah. You put your finger on one of the biggest problems that they have, and that is the will to fight. The Ukrainians have that significantly, but the Russians do not. Look, this is an authoritarian regime that took no counsel to prepare their troops for what they were doing. Some of them just thought they were going on a training exercise at the very outset of all of this. And many of them they put them right into this fight right out of basic training. And a lot of them were clearly not prepared for anything like on a scale that you've seen. And they've seen their tactical leaders, and those are the people that are saying, go here, go there. They've seen their tactical leaders fold under pressure as well. So there's huge morale problems inside this force. And right, we don't talk about it very much, but it is a major issue for the Russian military.
General, thank you very, very much. As an end note, I just want to share after the general here, we did hear this morning that the Ukraine nuclear power plant, the Zaporizhzhia, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, that some in Europe had worried could get attacked and would obviously be a disaster. It's the largest such plant in all of Europe, is now back online. That's all we know, but we'll keep you posted on that.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.